Hello guys, a little bit of a break, but we should be good. We should be good. The lobby has loaded. Reborn is a wonderful client and everything's underway and ready to start. Let's get straight into it. Let's get straight into it. The draft has started. High Council of Wizards and Priests up against Black Sheep. Mischief is their real name. No IX Mike here. They've got Ush, Justin, Sunbi, and Jubei is tagged up as Kiko there. Jonathan has been called Dota Master to me by the admin. Not entirely sure who he is, but over on the Dire, Clairvoyance, Fogged, Bleak, Mason, and Demon. Their debut under this roster, and I really cannot wait to see how they play up against this. I was kind of hoping for IX Mike to be here and have the old chat banter between him and Demon, but we're not going to have that. I'm not alone tonight. My co-caster Scant is here to take us through the draft as well. And you've had a pretty long night casting with Cap earlier for the MLG Worlds and now over to ESL New York qualifiers.
Yeah, just I'm getting around. I feel a bit loose today, but looking forward to this series. And as you said, it's an interesting team doing a debut. They've got a lot of big personalities, and everyone's got rich character and history. And interesting to see how they do together. I wondered, Black Sheep are taking really long with this. It's Leshrak, right? Yeah. I mean, Leshrak and Lina, those two heroes have been banned in pretty much every game I've cast today. I think Lina got through once and then it won. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, it will be the first big task after the Leshrak is banned out. And what's still in the pool? The Bounty Hunter is out.
Gyro.
Still got Gyrocopter. That's a pretty big one.
Yeah, I think the first sort of 3 picks, maybe 4, in this patch, and especially as we're coming to the end of this patch's lifetime, have become pretty stale, pretty undynamic, you know. Tusk, Earthshaker, Clockwork, Gyro, Leshrak, Bounty, Lina. Occasionally we see, a Rubik in the first phase, something along those lines, but it's all pretty generic when it comes to the first couple of picks, and then people round it out a little bit later on. Like Gyro, Clockwork here really wouldn't be too surprising for me. I don't think you pick up a Rubik this early on if your opponent doesn't have Earthshaker or something like that, but it's going to be pretty standard.
The one novelty we've seen, especially in the last week or two, and the further we get away from TI, is that there's teams more and more prioritizing first phase picks for Anti-Mage and Phantom Lancer. And usually then the draft is actually more centered around, I guess, a more traditional approach to, like, you have this farming carry and just get them their farm and then you win. Whereas the 6.84 meta overall is... the carries haven't been doing that. It's more like the carry works for the team. They get some early farm and then they go fight. But yeah, very, very recently, especially if you've watched all these matches between DC and Cloud9, there's been a lot of early anti-mages and Phantom Lancers in this game. Since Black Sheep already have Gyrocopter, I doubt they'd go for either of those heroes, but wouldn't be that surprised to see the High Council of Wizards and Priests picking up one of those early on.
I guess Naga is still in there as well. A pretty high prioritized pick, Naga Siren, set up for the Gyro cooldown to play disruptive across the lanes as well. But Lion is your second pick here from Mischief, and that's a relatively interesting one for me. He's obviously a pretty damn good support against the Tusk. You've got the Earth Spike for when people try to snowball in. You've also got that pretty hefty nuke from the Finger of Death once you reach level 6, but he is XP and somewhat gold reliant as a support. So it's hard playing him as that 5 role running around placing observer wards and things like that.
There was a time when Lion was the premier support pick, not too long ago, but hasn't really had that status recently. Some people say it's part of the changes when they introduced the break mechanic and Hex doesn't disable all sorts of passives anymore. I'm not sure it is only that. I feel like there's probably more to the story. I think Lion's still a very solid hero, but it's not like automatically presumed support pick. There's loads of games where Lion isn't picked or banned. I don't know if you have any thoughts about the change in popularity of the hero. Is it just about Hex? Is it more to do with the meta?
10 seconds remaining.
I'm not sure. I think in 6.83, you had a lot more time to play that sort of AUI style, where maybe the first 6 or 7 minutes you don't have a lane, you're stacking, you're pulling, you're zoning out a little bit with the Lion. But then from like 7 to 15 minutes, you do have a period where you're roaming a little bit, but you're given a lane. You're given a lane to get that XP, to get the gold, to get your blink after the tranquils, and then you become like a 4th core. You get that one key item like an Earthshaker does nowadays, but it's difficult to pass up a hero like Winter Wyvern that's banned out here, like Darkseer. Even the Shadow Shaman has seen a little more popularity than Lion, it feels, of recent, just because you've got that pushing power to add in. Ether Shock is a great nuke early on. You've got the Shackles, the Hex.
10 seconds
Maybe you don't have the
remaining.
sustain from something like Mana Drain. But you still get the job done.
5
You can
seconds
still zone people out
remaining.
with that Ether Shock. Level 1, it's a ton of damage level 1. It's like 90, 110,
Reserve
something
time.
along those lines. Pretty short cooldown, decent mana cost. But Serpent Wards, if you can just run yourself up to a lane, you group up and push as 3 or 4. You don't need the full 5-man brute force towards towers.
What
Radiant
is? Sorry to
team
change the
pick.
subject, but what is? Well, not really. What is Clairvoyance up to here? Starts the draft. Okay, fairly versatile, solid heroes. The fact that you have both Doxy and Tusk is probably support. Banning out Storm and Bloodseeker. To be honest, I sort of expected him to ban some offlaners, because there's a really small pool of top tier offlaners, and Earthshake was banned, and they already had the Tusk and the Darkseer, and you kind of think that they'd ban the Clockwork and, you know, force
10
Black Sheep
seconds
into
remaining.
drafting one of the less standard offlane heroes, but they've left it in
5
almost like an
seconds
invitation.
remaining.
Fine, have Clockwork and Gyrocopter, and also the fact that they've banned the Storm and the Bloodseeker in
Reserve
particular.
time.
Like, are those two bans something that say to you, we're lining up for a certain pick that gets countered by those two heroes?
I think Bloodseeker has kind of become one of those heroes that's very annoying to deal with. And especially when you've picked a Darkseer, he can 1v1 the Darkseer. He doesn't need any support whatsoever. So I like the Bloodseeker ban out. Just the
Dire
fact
team
you
pick.
are automatically giving your Darkseer, you know, a 60% better chance of actually sitting in lane and getting the XP and gold he desires. The Shadow Fiend, the Storm Spirit, I'm not too sure. It's, you know, less of a directed ban against your own team, more of a sort of general ban out, saying, you know, Storm is this great hero. He can then jump onto the Darkseer and maybe even the Tusk once he gets his Orchid up. And he's also pretty good Radiant side. You know, Mischief on the
10
Radiant
seconds
side of the map,
remaining.
they've got the 2 jungle camps close to middle lane that can be stacked up by someone like a Lion.
5 seconds
And then Storm
remaining.
can head in there to clear them out and get himself a good little lead. Which Shadow Fiend now picked up will actually take
Reserve
that role
time.
himself.
Sorry, I keep calling them Black Sheep because that's what it says here, but
They're officially called Mischief, but yeah. I don't know what.
Radiant
I guess
team
because
pick.
IX Mike's not here to captain his team, you know, they're getting away with a little bit too much.
and Justin's tag actually says BS, so I was wondering, it's a little bit confusing, but yeah. They do pick up the Dazzle now, and it does, yeah. I do buy the interpretation of banning Storm and Bloodseeker for independent reasons, like they're strong, scary heroes to deal with. But at the same time, when you're hiding your
10
main cores
seconds
for this long,
remaining.
I want to say that those are maybe targeted. I'm thinking maybe they
Dire
want to
team
get
pick.
something like a Slok.
Anti-mage.
Okay, it's Anti-Mage, but I
Okay.
was gonna say Slok is a hero
Radiant
that gets
team
countered by both those
ban.
heroes. Anti-Mage actually kind of too, to be honest. Anti-Mage doesn't like being ruptured, and doesn't like being orchided or rolled on early on by Storm either. So they didn't go for the first phase Anti-Mage as we've actually seen a lot out of, in particular, Cloud9
10
recently.
seconds
But they've got
remaining.
the Anti-Mage nonetheless.
But they're still missing out on their mid hero. And up against the
5
Shadow Fiend, what
seconds
do you have
remaining.
left? You know, you could go for TA over on the Dire side, but it's banned out straight away by Mischief.
Dire
And that was the one
team
hero I was
ban.
looking at, thinking they've got pretty limited options here, actually. Wind Ranger, TA both gone. There's no Storm. There's no Leshrac, obviously, taken out in the first phase. There is that one hero, though, that always, you know, slips the mind of commentators and kind of filters her way
10
through the draft.
seconds
It's the Queen of
remaining.
Pain. She gets ignored so often nowadays when she was, you know,
5
first pick,
seconds
first ban
remaining.
material before and at the start of TI. What has happened
Yeah.
to this hero to mean that she's
Reserve
just
time.
left? She's the dregs at the bottom of the barrel, where maybe now High Council will think, yeah, we've got Queen of Pain still left in the pool. And do you think it's one of those things where it's always that failsafe? You can fall back on Queen of Pain if you
Radiant
really need to.
team pick.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And Queen of Pain has gone down in popularity. Part of me is just tempted to say that she had such a huge spike in popularity for such a long time that it was just inevitable that unless the hero is like truly overpowered, she would drop off after a while. I mean, a lot of the heroes we talk about as being popular now, like the Tusk or the Darkseer or the Gyrocopter or Queen
the
of Pain was
techies.
actually rising in popularity
10
before them.
seconds remaining.
She stayed at the top of the metagame for a very long time.
5 seconds
And I think
remaining.
people just got used to playing against the hero, and the strength of any hero to some extent I think is
Reserve time.
reduced by enemy teams being familiar with it.
Yeah, I guess so. Now, Mischief
10
here, they've got their off
seconds
laner, their
remaining.
mid, their safe lane, they've got their 3 cores pretty much set in stone.
5
And
seconds
I really want to see
remaining.
this Lion over in that 4 role, but with a Wisp picked up.
Dire team
Wisp,
pick.
Gyro. That's going to work pretty nicely here. They can. We saw the power of this the other night in the defense, where they had a Wisp Tiny, the age-old combo. But against an anti-mage, if you can apply enough pressure early on, and then you get these relocate ganks over and over again onto the AM, you can actually limit his area of farming quite significantly. You can push hard in with the Clockwork, with the Gyro very early on once they hit level 6, and the Wisp just buffs up your power immensely. And Queen of Pain, pretty much the standard 5th pick up there. Clairvoyance is going to be taking that, while Mason on the anti-mage. And his return to Dota. People have been waiting. People have been waiting a pretty long time. And something worth pointing out, obviously, is I'm pretty sure all of these players have been playing in FPL. So, maybe the Storm and Bloodseeker ban, it's kind of from FPL. They're like, oh, he plays Storm, he plays Bloodseeker. You've always got to take this into account as well. The in-house leagues do play, they do play a large part when it comes to competitive play.
Yeah, they play a role in shaping the metagame, and it's unfortunate because people don't get to watch all of those games, and the data doesn't get tracked on Dota or anything like that. So harder to analyze, but I definitely agree. Pubs even probably affect the metagame here. But I agree with you, the in-house leagues in a more direct sense can do that. I'm wondering, you were saying right before they picked the Wisp, you thought Lion needs to be in a 4 position, and I kind of agree because it seems like he's their primary tool for getting kills and anti-mage, shutting him down. And now that they have the Wisp, doesn't seem that likely that Lion's going to be given that kind of space. So I'm a little bit worried. If anti-mage gets a decent start to this game, what's the plan to handle him?
I'm not sure. I want to come back to the bans though. The Enchantress ban right at the end. It's pretty much what we were saying. No one picks Enchantress, right? No, almost nobody picks it anymore. It's got to be one of those things where maybe Enchantress off lane, throw it up there, go the Slasher's way, and against AM plus the Tusk, they want to get their hits in, and Enchantress with the Untouchable is pretty difficult to handle. The TP's out. Fogged, going to watch out for Clockwork, who cannot get his Observer down because Mason is now taking that place as well.
30 seconds to battle.
But the Wisp and Lion, I'm still unsure about this. I'm still unsure.
I mean, they look very comfortable to me if the Lion does get an early dagger. And they've got answers for everything. They've got a good way to take control of the map. They've got just a generally kind of fearsome lineup. But
Demon. The 2 Ion Shells means pretty much the Radiant cannot contest this top rune. So Dire are going to get both bounties here. AM with the top and Queen of Pain with the bot one.
Yeah, that's a pretty good start for them, but sometimes we exaggerate it a bit too much. It could amount to nothing. We'll see. In a few minutes' time, we might be saying, oh, both bounty runes. You could see how they got a lead in the lane stage. Or maybe we won't be talking about it at all. I'm interested to see this mid matchup. I think most people these days would say that Shadow Fiend's favored in this matchup. Used to be the case that Queen of Pain could really bully Shadow Fiend and kill him early on. Shadow Fiends don't seem that afraid of Queen of Pains in my experience these days, and there's a Wisp helping Archer at the start, so I think SF should get the better of it.
Yeah, ever since people started going like level 1 Rays at the sort of halfway through 6.83 to get the initial last hits and get your faster bottle, which obviously this Shadow Fiend went for the circlet, couple of branches, pool tangos, went for a pretty quick bottle rush, no Wraith Band there. You can bully this Queen of Pain out, because whenever she wants to blink forward or get the Shadow Strike and a few right clicks in, you can always trade very efficiently. You can right click back, and you can get a decent amount of damage with the razors down. Now Sunbi at bottom lane, oh god, he's trapped with the Iron Shell here. Earthspike's going to catch the 2 heroes at this bot lane, but the Lion not going to survive through it. Demon and Fogged, the Tusk Ducks here off lane. That's pretty nasty. And we've seen a lot of dual off lanes in our time. Undying Phoenix, the Ducks here, Undying. A lot of them, include Undying, but Tusk Techies, Tusk Ducks here. The fact you've got that decent long-range initiation with a snowball, with the shards to block people off, and that extended duration on Iron Shell, you just cannot understate it.
Yeah, and it's really not where you want to be with that early death in your safe lane, and to some extent it's actually worse than if they killed the gyrocopter. I know it's counterintuitive, but when you have a support in such a difficult position, we've spoken about how he needs to get value this game, but it's also a solo support lane, like struggling to even get to boots. Probably going to struggle for a long time to get to boots, and now has to be worried about them going on him every single time he goes near to the lane. He's busy trying to unblock the pool camp because that's the safe way for him to have an impact, but he's gonna miss the ward. And he's kind of stuck now. What does he do? How does he can't leave Gyrocopter alone. But if he goes in range of the enemies, they're almost certainly gonna try kill him again.
What do you think the reason is for the Clockwork up at top blocking off this camp? Because he's placed a sentry in the large camp here. And usually as a Radiant offlaner, especially, you know, Beastmaster and things like that, you do want to pull across to control lane equilibrium. I guess with the cogs you do have a mechanism to do that already, so you know, you are blocking the Dazzle from doing the pull through to try and reset, and I guess that's what he's looking at here. But he still hasn't been able to place that Observer Ward down, and Bleak has done a great job controlling top rune spot, and with the double bottle that Shadowfiend and Wisp are running, they haven't had a rune yet really. They went down to get bottom one, but they've been controlled by the Dire pretty nicely.
Maybe part of the concern of that pool camp is also just that it could be stacked, and Anti-Mage could go back and farm it later. I'm not too sure, to be honest. It's quite unorthodox.
The creep cutting here, Demon and Fog. How do you stop this? Because if it's a Darkseer on his own, you go in with the Earth Spike, the Rocket Barrage, and you think, right, we've got him. We get a kill here, or at the very least we force him back. But Demon has a regen rune bottle. The Darkseer is pretty happy here, just to spam Ion Shell, regen himself back up, and now Gyro Line, they're farming under the tower. It's not the ideal situation, but up at top, Jonathan.
Lion's gonna die again.
Oh god, is he being dived? Oh, the shards block them out. They can't actually go in for that, but they'll find Justin. They've got the snowball, they've got the double Ion Shell, and even with the Rocket Barrage back and Earth Spike to slow them down a bit, they'll still get the kill there.
Yeah, problems. And this time it's the Gyrocopter goes down.
Oh, Clairvoyance! He's found Ush, but Ush turns back and fights him. No! The tether! That was super close there. Clairvoyance with a level 2 Scream and 2 in Shadow Strike. Thought he had the kill. But Jubei on this Wisp, the tether, the overcharge, made damn sure that Ush stayed alive.
Yeah, and Wisp is, that's one of the specialties of this hero, to be honest. It's almost like the hero hasn't been that saturated in the metagame recently, so maybe you don't anticipate that kind of play. I don't know if I even hold it against Clairvoyance, even if he did anticipate. I mean, it was very close. It was very, very close.
These double bottles paying off dividends here. Comes back into the lane, both refilled up. Top lane, the Clockwork in a bit of trouble. Is that one more hit? No, he's got the stick charges. Mason, you're gonna get this kill, but you're gonna have to pay with a little bit of life there. Salve up after this tower hit. Should be okay. Meanwhile, down at bottom though, 2 deaths as Demon and Fog finding kills left and right. The Gyro and the Lion both dropping.
Yeah, and the game is starting really well for, well, I want to say, what are they called? The High Council of Wizards and Priests. Is that their name?
Yep, that's the name.
It's a difficult name. I'm like, the game's starting well for HCWP. Not really catchy.
HCowP.
HCowP?
Yep. That's how I read it when I first saw the abbreviation. With the
HCowP. Sounds a bit like Kaipi.
Just call them High. Honestly, just call them High Council. It's the easiest way.
Okay. Or we could say Mason and the Boys. I'm sure like North American fans will appreciate that.
Yeah, Demon and the Boys.
Or Demon and the Boys. Maybe that's better.
Mason, Demon and the Boys. So this
you
middle
know they're
lane.
gonna watch this now and have an argument about like which of their names should be used.
Of course. Clairvoyance has a DD and he's gonna try and go and get the top rune, but I'm sure Ush doesn't pick that up for himself. All these lanes going pretty well for the Dire so far though. You know, 1 to 5. And take a look at where
rotation.
take a look at where Demon and Fog are right now. They're looking for the stack, but they're gonna find a Shadow Fiend instead. Ush, you're trapped! The Wisp, can he save him this time with the little heal out as well? Maybe he can stick charges and heal up. Ush turns back with a single raise, getting a bit of damage down onto Demon and Fog. The orbs are there as well, and Sunbi. Let's Spike, get there ready. 1 raise and 1 hit, they'll find the kill. And a little incursion into the jungle to try and find the stack. That's all they wanted. That's all they wanted, but what they get in return is a death on Demon. Ush is still going to be able to pick up this little neutral cap stack. Fogged. Level 3 shards. How many can he steal? The Dark Trolls, they see him. He gets a couple there. Actually, 100 gold, not too bad. But I don't think we want to try and snowball
every
down.
piece of success that the Radiant side have gotten so far this game is down to the Wisp. Like, both times, that's what it is. Wisp saves, Shadow Fiend turns things around. And if not for that, yeah, the game looks really, really bad for them. So credit to the Wisp where credit is due.
Mason has been silently farming up a top lane though. There's very little the Clockwork can do to disrupt this. He has hit level 6, so we'll be looking for the rotation soon. I wonder, does he go for a third bottle on his team here, or just buy the Tranquil Boots up? Because we have been seeing a little bit of deviation in... yeah, there's a Tranquil. It's pretty standard, so Tranquil's probably into the Blade Mail next. But we've been seeing a few deviations in builds. Oh, bot lane, the dive again, the cooldown will land, and Justin kept alive by the Wisp. Kiko, Jubei, whatever you want to call him, keeping this game alive for the Radiant. And now, they pretty much balance things up, 4-5. But his rotations have definitely made the difference here.
It feels a bit like HC, that High Council are just kind of like not ready for the hero. Like each time it surprises them. Oh, there's this Wisp that can do these things. Yeah, I wouldn't say that if it happened only once, but it's not like 3 times a very similar situation comes up. So it definitely credits the Wisp, but also you have to ask at what point do High Council just start respecting the Wisp. I guess they don't care that much because the anti-mage is free farming anyway. And we did say at the start of the game, the enemy lineup is not very good at dealing with anti-mage if he's free farming. And there's a Midas on Shadow Fiend, which that's a throwback. Wow, that's
an Arteezy throwback to what, a start of 6.83, maybe even earlier. Was that before 6.83?
For ages.
6.82 maybe even when he was playing Naga. Naga Shadow Fiend at mid, buying Midas on SF. That is a long old time since I've seen one of them.
I've heard people say that if you buy Yules, you farm just as quickly, and so it doesn't really make sense to go for the Midas. But Ash is a very strong player, and I trust that he's thought about it and figured out, it is an efficient way to build himself in this game. And definitely it does feel like every bit of extra, farmability and scalability you can get in this game where you're going to be up against an anti-mage who looks like nothing's going to stop him getting his battle free at a good time. If they don't have a way to completely shut him down, they want to make sure that their cores are as big as possible to just take him on late, I guess.
Yeah, you can compare the farming aspect of Yules and Midas, but the one thing I'd look at here is the kill potential. Against blinking heroes like Quap and Anti-Mage, sure, you've got the hookshot, you've got Hex, you've got Stun. There's the Gyro Funds, they're paid down a bot lane. But with the Yule Scepter, you can get the insta-kills. You can get that Yule's Requiem onto the Quap and Anti-Mage and potentially just find kills with the Shadow Fiend. Midas does not offer you that. It gives you the bonus XP, gives you a bit of attack speed. But we'll see how well he utilizes this as the top rune who gets a DDSF. Razor's gonna miss the first one. Demon just TP himself away. Ush, not gonna be able to secure that kill. Jonathan, oh, did he try and hookshot that? Hookshot's on cooldown. Looks like he tried for it, but Demon found himself a little place in the fog.
Well, the kill scores kind of equalized, and the gold graph, the XP graph kind of equalized. But we do have to keep going back to that anti-mage who is being allowed to free farm, and there isn't a very natural way to deal with him in the enemy team unless the lion gets, well, until the lion gets to his blink dagger, I would say.
But since the Gyro died, the first 2 times, he's got himself a couple of kills. They've taken the tier 1 down to bot even because of the rotations and deaths from the Darkseer and Tusk. So the Gyro isn't far behind the AM, and Shadow Fiend with the Midas now has actually built himself up pretty damn well. 5,500 net worth. He's well on his way to his next item, which I'm wondering if he goes for the DPS build here, or you still go for the mech, because the Wisp is going to get that delayed mech, right? If he does decide to go that route. He's going for the urn with the brown boots, and you don't have anyone else really that can go into it. We've seen a couple of times the Greaves build on Clockwork with Arcanes and mech, but here you just want that hard initiator. Jump in with a Blade Mail, make sure they can't really counter-initiate into you. Shadow Fiend, though, I'm kind of wanting to see here like an S&Y BKB build. He's picked up the Ogre Club, so maybe that's where he's heading. Maybe even BKB Blink, actually. The Blink into the hookshot cogs could be really damn good with the Requiem.
Yeah, it's tricky. I like the directly scaling into a more carry type Shadow Fiend, but at the same time I feel like they do want a mech, because if they acknowledge that they're not going to be able to shut down the anti-mage directly, they're going to want to be able to group up and pressure before he can, be split pushing the whole map. I mean, it's neither here nor there whether mech is actually always the best item for doing that though, especially since the change where mech has a longer
Dire's
cooldown.
middle tower is
So
under
it's
attack.
possible that rushing a BKB, for example, or an SNY could achieve a similar purpose. And actually they're all rotating to the top lane, and they're going to do that right now. They're going to try and pressure an objective and do it in the lane with anti-mages, so force him to run away.
The level 9 gyro, he's on. Oh no! Mason's blinked forward. They've got the hook shot. They've got Justin here as well. Blink is off cooldown in 5 seconds time. Maybe with a grave from Blink, they're going to have it as well. Mason should be okay to blink himself away. There's no further way of getting himself or getting themselves into the woods to find the anti-mage. So he's going to count his lucky stars. He gets away from that one. Bleak, though, on the other hand, has no TP scroll, and his tier 1 is dropping. He's stuck there. The trade-off, though, the Dire, they're getting a bit of damage onto the tier 1 and middle lane, and the snowball. Blink forward. Wisp is caught. And Juve, despite all of your best efforts early on in the game to keep your teammates alive, still getting up a kill there.
If only there was another Wisp that could come along and tether to him and heal him. But when you're the Wisp yourself, you're not going to get bailed out that way. Shadowfiend has TP'd in, he's got that Invis rune already active. Hoping to get a cheap kill, but doesn't look like he'll get it. I think they saw the TP, they probably even knew that he had a Invis in his bottle previously. So yeah, playing carefully. The trade-off there ultimately I think favors the Dire. I think High Council getting a kill in mid lane, a tower at bot lane. Anti-Mage, sure, he was forced out of his lane for a while, but it was a 5 hero rotation, took quite a while to kill the tower, and overall I don't think it worked out that well.
Yeah, and even with his Midas, you know, he's died a couple of times, but he's still up to 1300 gold. His net worth is through the roof. He is even with the Gyrocopter, with his offlane Darkseer, and his mech, it's going to be up and running pretty soon. So if you are going to see this this relatively early aggression from the Radiant with the tower pushing they've got, the relocate ganks on top of the crossroad hook shot, which is something we haven't really talked about. The mobility they do have across the map here with the combos that are available for them, they can catch heroes off guard. Which is why I think that Queen of Pain and AM with the Blinks, the Surge from Darkseer, the Snowball and Tusk, and the Grey from Dazzle, the Dire side have 5 heroes that are all very well equipped to deal with it. And Justin here, caught in the shards, Clairvoyant doesn't really want to get up in the face of Ush though. The illusions from Shadowfiend proving a little bit too much and forcing them back, so another tier 1's going to drop. Now it's 2 mod contest. Just spam out your spells. While Mason, with his lovely headdress, before Battle Fury, mind you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is a build I've seen a few of the recent anti-mage going for. Finishing the Poor Man's Shield, getting the headdress, and then completing your Battle Fury. It seems like it gives you, I think, a bit more room to clear some jungle camps early on, even before you have the Battle Fury, without needing to tank too much damage and go back all the time. And it allows you to have something to do in between the free lane farm time. Although he's staying away from the jungle right now. I guess the entire enemy team's off the map. They're smoking on actually the other side of the map. But Mason doesn't know that, so just playing it safe. It's actually Demon who's likely to be in trouble if anyone is.
He's fine. I say that now, like he's fine right this very second. But he could equally just run himself out. Sun B gonna get spotted here, gets the Earth Spike onto 2 with the weave down onto him though, not catching Gyro. Wisp comes in and saves him. Clairvoyant Sonic Wave, but he's nearly nuked into oblivion by Justin coming in. The Snowball, Bleak TPing away, and there's nothing to stun him just yet. Should be able to get himself out, and the final punch from Fogged will trade his life for the death of the Lion as Wisp is escaping with 50 HP. That was a pretty awkward engagement as now Mason finds himself battling it out with Jonathan a little bit towards the top rune spot. But Clock has Blade Mail, and like you're saying, this early power from the Gyrocopter, who, since we saw aggressive from CDEC do it, hitting level 7 or 8, TPing around, finding these kills in early team fights. I'm just wondering if High Council do have the tools to handle it. Now with the mech on Darkseer, they kind of have to group up themselves. Maybe go for this 4-man death squad, look into the enemy jungle, and try and do something similar that they just accomplished. You know, Clairvoyance escaping there was a little fortunate. He nearly died, but
yeah,
in the end,
I wonder
it's a
if
pretty
High
even trade.
Council, when they smoked into the enemy jungle there, were they expecting to find multiple heroes, or were they just going for the SF thinking he's alone? Because the way Mason was playing, he thought the enemy team was smoking to his jungle, and so I think they might have just been caught by surprise to run into so many heroes. But Dazzle and Anti-Mage trying to go for Gyro.
Oh, the Wisp relocate. Who's he bringing in? No one. He's actually alone here. AM, Dazzle, Bleak. Oh man, he's dropping low. The Grave will keep him alive though. Now the Snowball into the Vac as they try to chase down the Wisp. Punched up into the air. Requiem Demon dropping low. The mech not enough to save him. And now they turn it back around. The Wisp doesn't take the gyro back because they want the secondary kill. Tusk and Darkseer both dead, and Jonathan pushes Mason back. Got no hook shot, but Ush hasted. Looking for the right clicks in. 1 second. He's got the blink ready, and the raise misses. Mason gets himself over the trees and far away, but is it far enough? Ush is still on the hunt, looking for the hits and looking for the kills. But Anti-Mage, he's okay.
What is that kill attempt to start with? I mean, Anti-Mage and Dazzle trying to kill Gyrocopter. Even if there's no response and no more heroes come, I just don't see that kill happening at all.
They had the Tusk coming in from the side as well, so I'm wondering if it was just a little bit, not miscommunication, but there was sort of a second off, synchronization there with the jump forward.
Yeah, I guess not quite perfectly coordinated. It struck me as strange because usually Anti-Mage drops a Battle Fury, all he wants to do is quickly farm up a Storm. It's pretty rare to see, as you hit Battle Fury, now let's gank someone. I mean, the person was right there, but I'd expect that the average Anti-Mage player is probably going to say, no, leave me alone, like, don't come gank here, I'm busy farming.
Yeah, maybe it's that deterrent. Yeah. Maybe it's that sort of, we've got 3 guys sitting in our jungle ready to push you back out of AM lane. Just assert their dominance a little bit up there. But the Radiant, they're having none of it. Justin wants to push towards the tier 2.
The issue is that in order to assert their dominance, they need to actually be dominant. I wouldn't say they're dominant at all at the moment. I think the Radiants are dominant, and I think actually what High Council need is just to buy time for Anti-Mage. That's their best game plan to win this game at the moment is use the other heroes to kind of stall things out. Not necessarily take fights or win them, just like keep the enemy team busy all the time. And if Anti-Mage does get free time while the enemy team's distracted for long enough, yes, then he can have a massive impact.
Well, they did get something done while Roshan was being taken. The tier 1 up at top, AM, has enough for his Vlad as well, fully done. And also scouting out the Ancient stack there, disrupting it a little bit as well.
Radiant's
Demon
top
runs
tower
himself
is
across.
under attack.
But they are forced back into their third of the map. The Dire can't really head themselves across the river. Usher's pushing out these lanes, and after BKB, picking up that Yasha. And I'm not sure if he goes Manta style here, or just goes for the S&Y, because tanking yourself up against things like Sonic Wave, against that Weave even, having HP against the minus armor is pretty nice. And
also a bit worried about clairvoyance at this point. His farm is falling a bit behind. He is going into that Aghanim Scepter that might help him farm a bit more. But Darkseer is really only adding utility, and Anti-Mage, as farmed as he gets, if he has to face off against, if he says a 6-slotted AM against a 6-slotted Gyro and SF, and he's got to kind of like out-carry them on his own, it's not going to work in fights, and he's just going to be forced into that like permanent split push till the end of time style of Dota. I think he kind of does need that help to come out from the Queen of Pain. She needs to, either Demon has to do some serious carrying, or Queen of Pain needs to catch up a bit and start having a bigger impact.
Yeah, it takes some serious itemization to actually go for that battle Anti-Mage. You know, you've got the Vlads, you've got the Battle Fury out for AM, but often if behind, we've seen Anti-Mages go for things like BKB and then into, your Butterfly, your Basher, things like that. And Manta style, as great as it is, sometimes you just need that raw fighting power, but he's still going to go for it, help him split push these lanes a little bit more, and gives him a lot more tower killing potential as well. And I guess, if you're looking for the team fight, maybe AM's job first. Maybe he wants to initially jump forward onto the Wisp, because that is the hero. That's the hero that's been really dominating this game so far, I've got to say. The Wisp, he's 1-1-7, he's got a bunch of assists to his name, he's nearly got the mech done. And once he gets up into mech, Arcanes, Greaves, I do not see them killing the hero he's tethered to. They do not have enough lockdown, nuke power, or anything to kill that hero. So they basically have to go for the Wisp first, or they have to target someone like the Lion. Then you're dodging things like hookshot. You're trying to dodge out of that and defending your towers right now when they've still got Aegis for how long? Oh, the timer's bugged. I guess they've still got Aegis for like another minute and a half, 2 minutes, something like that, right?
They've got it until Reborn decides they don't have it.
Yep.
I guess. But yeah, you're probably right. Minutes or 2.
Oh, back into the ball. Oh, shit's gonna die here. The Sonic Wave catches the courier. Oh, is he still alive? How is he still alive? He pops a regen rune as well. Nobody's dead. Aegis is not gone.
Really bad for High Council because they use their combination now. And if the wall runs out, Simbi's just
Going in. He should be okay though. But yeah, Ush, now he has a minute and a half left on Aegis. But with that wall, the long duration it does have, it's still difficult getting up there. Tier 3 is dropped though, and that's the main thing they're looking for. Maybe now they can push back up, clear out the creep wave. Negative weave goes back up on them. And Sunbeam, without this blink dagger, it's difficult for him to jump and find a target though. Which is why Jonathan is standing on the low ground looking for the hook shot in.
I think this might be a free set of Raxes. Oh, Pop ulti's actually back up because she got the axe before. So I guess they can try combo again. They won't have the wall. They could try vacuum into Sonic Wave again.
How do they... Like, there's a Sonic Wave. There's no... Oh, the vacuum's late, but they push them back into the cogs. They're actually trapped in a cage of their own design. Mason comes in. The Mana Void does nothing. He's hexed up on the back end. Fog now dropping low. Graved up to save the AM as the snowball comes through. And they look for the Wisp. 2 hits. He's down and out, but Tusk is gone as well. The AM blinks himself away. And the Radiant just turn and fight Jonathan. He's surviving through it all with his stick charges, and racks are falling. The only price they pay so far is the Wisp's life. There's no Sonic Wave, and there's no way Clairvoyance is really defending this. So melee racks drops. No creep wave in there. They can't really take the ranged one. And at this point, you've got the objective. 23 minutes in, you've got 1 racks already. And then you've got farm to take. You've got bot lane, top lane to farm. You've got your own jungle. You've got enemy jungle that you can pretty much walk into with impunity, and anti-mage begs the question, where does he go?
Yeah, it's a tough one. We spoke a lot about how they don't have a way to shut down the anti-mage directly, but indirectly they ult the anti-mage very easily just by take objectives too quickly before he's ready. And at this point, even if he got ready, there's the prior problem we spoke about, that there's a Shadow Fiend and a Gyrocop to deal with. So even if his farm is like a bit ahead of both of theirs, it's probably not enough for them to fight.
Yeah, just take a look at that net worth graph as well. Initial laning phase, the first 10 minutes or so. Pretty good there for High Council. I mean, the first 5 minutes, obviously, they gain that lead, and then they start slipping a little bit, but it's still okay. And then they get that one big hit, where the fight at top kicks off. The Radiant start taking control of jungles, of map.
Is under attack.
And now they find themselves with a 7,500 net worth lead experience. Not such a big difference. The fact that Demon has that Midas, obviously, he's got himself a pretty good run. He's got his Blink Dagger now as well, an anti-mage. That's where he goes. That's where he hides the farm. Get into the Ancients, maybe try and jump into the enemy jungle. Oh, Demon. He's seen it. He's seen it. There's an observable there. He's watched the Lion. He's watched the Gyro. He's going to decide to TP away. He doesn't really want to get involved here. The Wisp is heading up to top, though, and Clairvoyance is going to scout this out. I'm not sure if Jubei wants to try and relocate away, because the Weave will give them vision. Bleak. There's a Shadow Fiend there as well. I don't think that's really where you want to initiate.
Yeah, it's not where you want to initiate. It's a situation where if Queen of Pain blinks forward, she actually ends up dying, I think. So intelligent not to blink forward.
Under attack.
And now the
honestly, if Mischief tried to go for more axes sometime soon, I almost feel like you need a big mana void with that vacuum combo.
But then, like, how do you drain their mana first, though?
Tower is under attack.
Because
that's a tough one.
Yeah, exactly. If the Radiant are like this unbreakable wall, with Gyro, you know, his mana pool's decent. He doesn't really spam out spells. The Shadow Fiend, he raises a couple of times to clear the creep wave, but he's got Bottle. They've got the Wisp, I think, is again the key factor here. The mana void is always being negated by the Wisp regen back onto the hero that needs it. So there is no big target for the anti-mage to actually go onto, and when Sunbeam has just picked up a Blink Dagger, sure, it's on the courier. It's going to take a while to get in here, so they don't have that instant jump forward to hit into the Darkseer or someone like that. Justin is still on the front lines. Demon looking for the Blink vacuum into the wall as well, but Ush with the Requiem BKB'd up, and Demon obliterated there by the Shadow Fiend. He gets punched up into the air. Mason is on the back end, though. He finds a kill finally. But will he lose his life for his blinks away as the Rocket Barrage rips him a new one now? The Grave out from Bleak. Justin flag cannon. Left, right, center. Bleak dropping low as well. 4 dead there as the Gyro completely crushed them. Sure, the Shadow Fiend line and Clock died, but they're just going to come back. Take this tier 3.
Clockwork didn't need to die, I think. I think he might have even been able to kill Anti-Mage. And then right at the end, Anti-Mage was very low, and he just ultied the Clock to kill him. The Clock had used most of his mana. Okay, let's come back in.
The Wisp has got Tether in 2 seconds time, but he needs a target to go on, and that's why Justin is sticking around. There's the Tether back. Mason's got to blink forward.
Middle barracks.
He's not going to use it just yet, though. Even with the TP, there we go. We take, what, 4 hits or something here onto the Wisp. The blink. There's the vacuum. Get that sneaky little orb of light at long last. But again, they've lost to tier 3. And Raise Drax in the meantime, while they're fighting a bottom lane, they cannot push out this middle.
So what I wanted to say, I noticed Clock could have killed Anti-Mage, and then I looked at his skill build. And I gotta tell you, this is something that I specifically researched when we were compiling that stats document for International. Clockworks don't do this. This is just like, this is completely unheard of for Clockwork to max Cog before either of the other 2 skills. It's never the skill that gets maxed first. Well, it wasn't maxed first, but it's never the skill that's maxed anything but the 3rd. So I wonder if you have any ideas about, you know, why does he especially want to have a high level Cog in this game?
Jonathan, I think they're okay here. Fog does the Glimmer Cape, and oh, he doesn't have a TP. Jonathan's found the hook shot, and now Fog. There's really no escape from this, actually. I do not know why you'd go 4 in Cogs over the Battery Assault, especially against heroes, you know, Dazzle, AM, Quap, who, like Darkseer even as well, who have some difficulties. It's not impossible to cast your spells between the Battery Assault hits, but it's annoying. You're not going to have that perfect efficiency where it's like, right, I'm here, I'm hit, I'm going to jump. I'm going to blink away, I'm going to grave myself, I'm going to try and TP. But maybe it's just the extra duration, you know, the extra burn is decent.
Also, on the 4th level you get 1 extra attack, right? They take 3 attacks instead of 2.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like, in some way it's actually more disable, or like longer keeping them still, which is relevant against some of them. It's not relevant against the 2 cores though, because they're going to be blinking out of your cog anyway. They're not going to be attacking it.
Yeah,
I'm
really
definitely peculiar.
I mean, the Dire, they've got a bunch of melee heroes. Their mana pools aren't great. So maybe we're looking at this the wrong way, and it is just about that mana health drain of 200 once it hits level 4. Because 200 out of, you know, Darkseer's pretty mana intensive skill set is a good chunk. Dazzle even. You know, he wants to get off all of his spells multiple times in a team fight, and Tusk is pretty poor as well. And when you add in that Glimmer Cape, it's not too great. But the Clockwork has mainly been using it as this sort of zoning tool. He's been walking forward, placing cogs, allowing the Gyro and Shadow Fiend just to stand and hit the towers.
Yeah, in the previous fight, just the way it worked out, if he had a high level battery assault and he used it at the end, he would have killed Anti-Mage. And instead he had a low level battery assault and chose to cog the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage got knocked back and then just turned around and mana voided. Which I don't think he would have gotten off that easily, but yeah, I'm gonna just pay close attention.
Oh, the blink forward, the back, woo! They've got the Sonic Wave as well, but the Requiem rips them all a new one. 2 dead already. Lion and West the only ones to fall. Justin loses the Aegis, are still standing his ground, but finally dies to Fog as he snowballs in. Justin, he'll find the counter kill there, and Bleak's heal. Shadow Wave not going to be enough. So the trade-off there, the Dire, yeah, I'm pretty sure they come out on top. You know, they get pretty even trade across the heroes. You know, 2 supports and mid for your mid off lane and support. But it's the Aegis, the Roshan, that one thing that was meant to give the Radiant the advantage to push up high ground and basically end the game, right? It's bought High Council more time.
Yeah, and also the fact that the Radiants are supposed to be ahead. They're supposed to be winning. They're meant to be succeeding in these fights. So anything that looks kind of even is definitely a loss for them.
And in that close quarters environment, the Wisp couldn't really, you know, play his mischievous little role. Couldn't really get the efficiency out of the tether and heal and overcharge up. And he's going for the full stats build, actually. He's not gone for the arcane boots into Greaves. The drums, I don't know. I kind of like Vlad's on Wisp in this kind of scenario, where you know you're going to be pushing up high ground and you want to end it sooner rather than later, because you know that you can. Drums, what are your thoughts between Drums and Vlad's here?
I think I probably agree with you that Vlad's is good. I think the one factor against Vlad's is that both of the cores already have lifesteal. So you still, it would stack, but there's less of a return.
Okay, makes sense. I mean, Vlad's, you know, the extra damage, the armor is good, but I kind of like the attack move speed you get from that active from Drums as well. It's one of those items that's seen a little resurgence in usage, because during 6.83 we saw almost none of it. You know, SNY completely took its place pretty much. But heroes like Gyrocopter coming back to the forefront. Drums picked up a fair amount. And Ring of Aquila, you know, the small incremental kind of build up when you know that you need an item now. Bracer, Robe of the Magi, and yeah, a decent cost on the recipe. It isn't that much to just throw an item like that. Now, Jonathan the Clockwork. Aghanims isn't far away, and Clairvoyance. Like ships in the night, they kind of just pass each other as it turns to daytime. Interestingly, though, Mischief are pushing up middle lane, where they've already taken the racks, but they get the creep wave in. That's the big thing. Creep wave is in the base, and they're going to look to take down the melee racks towards middle lane with Satanic done for Gyro. The BKB for the Darks here, actually. Doesn't want to get nuked down by that Requiem, which has pretty much crushed him in every single team fight so far. Fogged on the side. Shards, no snowball just yet. Melee racks is gone. And Anti-Mage is still down at bot lane. Demon's already dead. He pops his BKB and gets the vacuum wall. But no one's gone. Osh gets the Requiem out, and Mason with his BKB up. He's going to try and focus the Wisp, but he's losing his HP at a drastic rate here. Blinks himself away, and that's got to be it. Anti-Mage cannot stand and fight. His BKB is on cooldown. They've lost a secondary lane of racks here. And with the vacuum wall gone, down, and Queen of Pain is out for 40 seconds. Recourse, ways of defending the towers, ways of defending the Ancients, pretty much non-existent here for the Dire.
Yeah, High Count is too dependent on their combo at the end there. I mean, Shadow Fiend and Gyrocopter both had Butterfly. Nothing with an MKB. So if you don't kill them with the combo, what do you...
He got the Shadow Fiend. Now maybe he'll get the Clockwork as well. No, Mason doesn't want to walk into the Gyro tethered up with a Butterfly and Satanic. Justin, the right clicks are strong. Bleak glimmers. Back into the fountain. So just a statement of intent here as they stay in the base. Fog just TP'd aggressively with the Glimmer Cape. I don't know if you can find the Snowball or the Ice Shards. There we go. They've got the vision with that nice little Observer Ward onto the Wisp, and they've caught him. There's a tether in 7, but is he going to last through this with the Anti-Mage blinking forward? He definitely is not. Still fighting this one out to the Dire.
I think I need to reconnect to this game. I thought it might be like right about the end, so I wasn't going to, but my game froze a lot during that fight, so I'm just gonna try and reconnect.
Okay. Well, no Aegis for I don't know, another 6 minutes or something like that. I really hate this bugged Roshan timer. Like, come on, get it together. Clairvoyance, what have you got up? Aghanims, BKB still on the way, and this really is the sort of weak link in the chain, draft-wise or sort of hero-wise. The Queen of Pain couldn't keep up in farm with the Shadow Fiend, who just outstripped her every step of the way. She couldn't gank onto lanes because the Wisp was rotating so well. The Lion was playing defensively, and Clockwork is a relatively difficult target to go onto. Anti-Mage's lane isn't really one you naturally want to go and gank onto either, with the defensive support of Dazzle that you've got. So the roaming squad of like Darkseer, Tusk, and Quap were meant to do a lot more than they actually got up to. And even though they got a couple of kills on the Lion and Gyro down and bot, they rotated across, and maybe that was one of the tipping points, where they had the sort of quad or quint stack over on the Radiant side for this mid lane Shadow Fiend. They had that stacked up, and the Darkseer Tusk went to try and contest or steal. I feel like that's where Ush kind of got that big advantage from. A couple of kills, then he got a stack, and then all of a sudden he was sitting at like 6k net worth, while the Queen of Pain was, what, 3.5 or 4. That sudden burst of gold really helped out the SF. Ush, 8-3 and 9 with Butterfly Manta BKB. Someone just picked up a Monkey King bar as well. Is that the AM? Yeah, that was the AM. Vacuum. Gyro's caught with the snowball forward, but Justin, he's got Satanic. He's got a cooldown. I don't think there's any real way you're going to be able to finish him off here. The wall is down, but Clairvoyance is dying. Justin, Satanic has worn off, and Mason, he is actually ripping him apart here with a Mana Void. They've killed off the Wisp. Lion, well, Spike's going to catch 2 there, but Mason's on the hunt, looking for Justin. Can blink forward, the buyback from the Wisp, though. Looking to keep him alive. The Gyro still standing strong, but Ush is alone up at top. Demon has a surge and has a vacuum. Tries to get him on the high ground, but doesn't quite make it. Oh, Ush BKB Requiem. But Mason on the forefront. Gyrocopter. Can you turn and fight this one? Ush really wants to. The Grave keeps Clairvoyance alive, and Dire have held. They've kept their tier 3 alive. They've found kill after kill after kill, and that's Wisp dead twice in a row. Now Justin, this Monkey King bar from the Anti-Mage really has paid out dividends. Justin's getting body blocked here. They just want Fog to come in with a snowball, with the shards, with anything. But I don't know if Mason can do it. The snowball's coming. Is it gonna land with the shards? They'll catch him. They've killed off the gyro. He tries to turn Satanic up, but the snow punch from Fogged. Mason on a beyond godlike streak. They've lost 2 lanes of racks.
Radiant's
They
middle
defend their
tower has
third.
fallen.
But how the hell did they do that?
I wish I could tell you, but I'm getting some kind of insane packet loss. I'm mostly listening to your narration and like watching like frames jumping around. Definitely the MKB must have been relevant, because without a MKB there's no way Anti-Mage can be winning those fights against Shadow Fiend and Gyrocopter.
Oh yeah, AM pretty much single-handedly crossed them all. Like, oh, okay, the wall was well placed. There's a vacuum was great. It split up the fight. The Shadow Fiend had to go west. The Gyro had to go like southeast. The Wisp got mana voided and taken out, brought back to try and save the Gyrocopter by relocating in. So it was all very disjointed from the Radiant, but they're still very strong. That was the perfect set of circumstances for High Council, and I find it difficult to believe that something like that's going to happen again, unless they find it towards the Roche pit, because Roshan's respawning soon, and maybe that's where they can find another fight. You know, this Clockwork Aghanims. It's great and all once you buy it, once you get it finished, but he's struggling now. Queen of Pain, Queen of Pain had her BKB come up as well. So that's another defining factor. The fact she had her magic immunity. She was able to actually stand and fight a little bit more.
Anti-Mage has no deaths, right? So, you know, if he's able to kill people, and they haven't been able to kill him yet, that says at least something. Like, maybe they need to find a way to kill him.
It's Mason. Mason Dota, man. And now he's got
I
his
am trying
BOTs.
to restart my Dota so that I can have all of my packets.
I wonder what Mason goes for next. You know, Vlad's obviously he can sell. He's got his BOTs up and running now. But after MKB, there's 2 natural MKB carries. And yeah, Gyro's going for an MKB of his own. So I don't think Butterfly's the way to sell your Vlads for. Maybe a heart. Maybe I guess Abyssal Blade would be the best option here. Like, looking at it. The way you can play aggressively with the defensive heroes you have, the Dazzle, Darkseer, the Tusk. There's ways of saving the AM. So you just look for ways for the Anti-Mage to carry and out-carry the Shadow Fiend and Gyrocopter. Jump them, stun them, keep them on lockdown. Actually bring the fight your way, because there are 2 Satanics now. If you can keep the Gyro and or Shadow Fiend held in place while their Satanic is active and basically make them waste it, you've negated that pretty hefty costly item with your Abyssal Blade on this Anti-Mage. And you know, we were mentioning during the draft, and especially during the first 15 minutes or so, this AM, he is their lone carry. This is a 4 protect 1 strat. There are 2 big old cores over on the Radiant in the SF and Gyro. They've got the offlane Clockwork that can do a lot. The Darkseer obviously is a decent late game hero with his vacuum wall, but without Aghanim Scepter, doesn't have that really strong ultimate. He's got the Blink and Greaves. Now Gem to try and limit the Radiant's vision, but Roshan once again goes the way of Ush. 2 lives. 3 if you count the Satanic, and he regens himself back up.
Yeah, it's
Radiant's top
even
tower
more
is
important
under
than
attack.
what we said earlier on, that
Radiant
Lion tries to catch
structures are
Anti-Mage.
fortified.
So at this point, if he gets to change as everyone Anti-Mage, even if they
Dire's
don't kill him,
top tower
it's mega
is under
creeps.
attack.
They even want to jump the Shadow Fiend here. Mason and friends, they're smoked up inside their own base. But the Radiant don't
Dire's
want
middle tower is under
an inch
attack.
of it. Oh shit, he's pushing up a little bit too far forward here. Demon has blinked as well. He's seen the Shadow Fiend. They want to try and find the other heroes that are split, and Justin is that hero. He's got no BKB, he's got a cheese, but the hook shot comes in. They've caught 2. Sonic Wave will fly across, and now Justin, cheese up, Satanic active as well as the vacuum wall comes through onto 3 of them, and Ush with a Requiem does a decent amount to slow them down and reduce the damage, but Mason, he's pounding them! He's ripping them apart, takes down the Gyro. Ush with his Satanic finally gets the damage out and regens up onto Clairvoyance, who desperately wants to kill the Lions. But Sunbi stays alive. 2 for 1 exchange, and that really sticks it to them. The Radiant, they can't push back up into this. The Darkseer wall is down for 70 seconds. Maybe that's a glimmer of hope here. But they lost their Gyro. They do not want to buy back on Gyro. That is 100% what they do not want to do.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is that Anti-Mage is pretty much maxed. He can, you know, replace an item here or there, But even the Vlad's, which is the cheapest item, seems to be performing an important role. Like, okay, Dazzle's bought a Vlad, so AM will probably sell his, get something else. But then that will be the last improvement, whereas because there's a Gyrocopter and a Shadow Fiend on the other side, there's still substantial improvement in terms of their carry part that we can be seeing. Whereas, what's the backup for Anti-Mage? Like, is there a new item that's going to have significant impact inside for the Queen of Pain, or probably more likely the Darkseer, to be honest?
Start buying rapiers. Just buy rapiers and anti-mage. Then die and drop them. Give them to your quap. Start stacking up clairvoyance because, like, he is so far behind. Honestly, 12. He's 4,000 behind the Darkseer, and we've seen Queen of Pains, rack up a bunch of items, go for the BKB Aghanims, then Hex, Refresher, or even the AC MKB Daedalus build. You kind of need in this situation, I feel, to go for the DPS build. Oh, Mason, Hexed and stunned. They got enough with Finger of Death. They do. He's got buyback available, but that's a 12-0 AM, giving 1,000 gold over to Ush. That's a 2k gold swing. 2,000 gold swing from one hero.
Yep. The biggest kill of the game by far.
But you look at the net worth
I wondered,
graph.
do they just force the buyback and then pull out, or will they try and kill him again? Certainly if they do kill him again, the game's over.
I don't know that they can unless they isolate him like that, because Snowball, Grave, Vacuum, Greaves, they've got a ton to defend him up. And that's, that net worth graph had actually moved itself back down to 0. The XP difference has actually been heading back towards the Radiant after the little brawls we've had here from High Council. The final set of racks, though, they're taken out. Mason blinks in, Swing B is taken out, and Clockwork, Cogs, the BKBs have gone from the Quap and the AM. Ush still has his with the Requiem. Mason blinks himself a little bit further back on the end, looking for the Wisp, who took himself to the Gyro. But Jonathan, the Clockwork, he's got nothing left. His mana's been burnt, and Ush has only raised his Vacuum back into the wall, and the Dire are doing it. Mason's graved up. He's just battling against Justin. He has to try and blink away, and he does! The Darkseer illusion is killing off Ush. 5 dead. Aegis brings Ush back to life, but Shadow Fiend cannot stand his ground against the 3 heroes alive here from High Council. Fogged, raised once, but not twice, and he's got a TP scroll to escape.
That was
Council.
ridiculously close. Mason got out on a shred of HP, and if he died there, Shadow Fiend respawns and just goes and gets mega creeps on his own, as far as I'm concerned.
That was split second there for Mason when the Grave was ending and he was just killing off the Gyro and Shadow Fiend dying to the illusion. Everything very, very tightly timed, but the AM knows he has to do it, because if he backs up to go and regen too early there, the Gyro and the Shadow Fiend stay alive, clear up the fight, kill off the Tusk, the Queen of Pain, and then kill off the racks as well. Maybe now with the Butter or the MKB over on the Shadow Fiend, a little more damage, but Mason has gone for a heart. No Abyssal Blade. Tanked himself up that a little bit more. They are still dealing with 2 lanes of super creeps though. Oh, and of course, Anti-Mage can still go for a Moonshard as his 7th item.
That's true. He could also, I mean, if the situation was different, I would say he could consider trading in his Battle Fury, but because there's so many Raxes down, it's almost they actually want him to push the lanes really quickly, so Moonshot is likely to be, other than buyback, is next on his agenda.
Oh, MKB as well for the Gyro, finally finished, and we saw him start this like 10 minutes ago with the Demon Edge. Finally gets it.
It's interesting because Anti-Mage, like, very deliberately doesn't have Butterfly. They've just both bought MKBs because there's a Solar Crest.
Now they deal with it.
Respect for Solar Crest.
Yep. And that's what I was talking about before, like the Abyssal or Heart, maybe an AC for the AM, something like that. This Butterfly is always going to be pretty much hard counted out by the SF and Gyro. Now the Wisp, who had an exceptional early game, hasn't really had much of an impact in the past 20 minutes or so. He's bought back a couple of times, he's tried to relocate, save people. His defensive movements have been good, but they haven't really found any aggressive relocates. And that's going to be down to High Council, the way that they've been positioning, the defensive supports they've got. They're holding on to their final set of racks, but the relentless brute force pressure here, as Ush just says, I'm done with your shit. Your melee racks is forfeit. I'm going to come up here and try and take it down middle lane, though. The hookshot Clairvoyance has been caught. He's got to use that buyback and come back into the land of the living as the Quap expends her gold. And any dreams of a Shivas or AC pretty much down the drain now. Ush. Got the screens, but he's got the BKB. Ush Satanic up now as Mason trying to right-click battle this guy down. The homing missile will land onto the BKB target. And Justin, he's going all in. He's got the racks. He's got the melee racks. Justin still going to die for this, though. Has a buyback available. But the rest of the fight, how's this going to actually pan out? Clairvoyance jumps forward. Jonathan, is there a stun for him? There's no one to stop his TP.
Tower is under attack.
So I guess the interesting discussion becomes, because we're headed that way, is this winnable against Megas or High Council? I mean, at this point it feels very, very difficult for them to avoid getting Mega'd. Feels like a matter of time, even though they're doing so well to hold. Could they conceivably win against Megas?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Because that would put Anti-Mage in a situation where he kind of has to deal with 2 lanes at once instead of hard pushing 1 lane. And who else can do it? Queen of Pain expending Sonic Wave to clear out. He doesn't even. No, you don't even clear out a creep wave. You do like a third or half HP to mega creeps. Oh, Mason. Mason's found Ush. And Ush has no TP, but doesn't relocate from the Wisp.
Money changes.
Wisp, who does have buyback. Okay. So even if they kill off the Wisp, there's still a route back for him.
Yeah, no, Ash has bits of travel as well. Wisp actually just gets out fine.
Well,
Ash went across the other side and was staring down Darkseid and Quap for a while, but he's looking okay.
they'd love
Really
to.
is starting to stand out to me, Queen of Pain's lack of farm. If
Yeah.
she had like a Hex or something here, like she poses such a bigger threat to the enemy cores.
They'd love to have a kill on Anti-Mage right now. The fact that his buyback is still on cooldown for 1 minute and 20 seconds. He's got the gold for it. I don't think the Radiant can actually push up too hard to find the kill. What did the Roshan timer just say? I missed it. Is it 1.5 minutes?
I didn't see it because I'm just losing frames all the time, sorry. I'm not seeing a lot of what's happening.
Well, I'll try to scout it out. I think it was like 1.5 minutes. So both teams definitely going to be focusing on like, oh, Clairvoyance, no, the hook shot. Glimmer Cape's out, but they've got the gem. Vacuum! Into the wall! They've obliterated 3 of them already pretty much as they do get stuck in this cooldown though. Mason looking for the fight. The Wisp is going to get himself a little bit further back here. Demon has expended every single one of his skills and abilities. Ush hexed now as he's tethered up, tried to be saved by Jubei. But Anti-Mage, he's got his number. Demon's graved. AM going to try and blink out the flag cannon damage from Justin.
Dire's
Too
structures
much
are
out.
fortified.
And you've only got buyback available on that Tusk. It's forced. And now it's
Dire's
Megas.
defense has fallen. The Radiant now have
Really, that's at the end of the day, the Anti-Mage is just not enough on his own.
Well, they've got the punch onto Justin. And the damage output here is pretty damn good. Satanic is back up though, and Mason! When's his buyback come up? 6 seconds time, but GG's already called. Good effort by High Council. They lasted a good 25 minutes more than I really thought they could. But Ush, that Shadow Fiend performance, man. 12, 4, and 12 with the Midas. Hotkeys XD. I was calling this. Yep.
Yeah, I think if he had just a little bit more backup in terms of an actual core, not necessarily even a different hero, just if the Queen of Pain was a bit more farmed, or if it was a different hero, we could have actually seen Mason and the High Council pulling this back, but Anti-Mage just didn't feel like enough all on its lonesome after they got to such a far behind position.
Well, that's game 1. Game 1 in this best of 3 for the NA qualifiers for ESL 1 New York. Mischief going up against High Council of Wizards and Priests, Demon's new team, with Mason, of course. But yeah, we'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys, with game number 2 of this best of 3. Don't go anywhere.